Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Ohio Nicole Creates. Today in Ohio is snowy and cold, so I decided to clean up my studio area, and I found all of my amazing supplies that I have been practicing with as I learn new skills over the past year and a half. And I thought it would be fun to make a video challenging myself to draw the same thing in 4 different mediums. So I've decided for my video today, I will be drawing an apple 4 different ways. And this is a learning process, so I've also linked to the tutorials that I used below. My first process was with oil pastels, and I have to say, since I have been using pastels to paint and following the various Bob Ross videos, I have really enjoyed the smoothness and the creaminess of oils. So I was excited to do a little bit of work with oil pastels, which are new to me. I did post a bird video a few days ago, which was my first attempt at oil pastels. So this is my second attempt. And what I really tried to do was think about the different tones and the different shades in the apple as I drew them. And I have to say that the blending is the part I enjoyed the most. So you'll see that I have done a lot of blending, perhaps over blended in some areas, but it was really neat to see the way that the colors came together. As I mentioned, I've only been practicing art for about a year and a half, so a lot of these mediums are new to me, but it's been so much fun to learn and to follow online tutorials and various techniques. My apple here is a bit wonky. We could say that I ordered it from Misfits Market because it is a little rounder than the average apple, but this was still a really fun approach. What I liked about doing all of the different types of apples is that I really kind of saw, and you'll see that I improve as I go on with the shading and colors to use in the shading and how to lay specific colors down and blend them into one another. So this was a really, really great exercise to just learn more about shading, about hue, about color value, and what happens when certain colors are mixed and blended together. The final step in this apple, and what I'm trying to do here, is I wanted to get a nice dark shading in the corner. So I kind of fiddled with this for a little bit to go back and forth between using browns and then using a really dark gray or a purple. And I finally decided on using a very, very dark gray with a almost scarlet mahogany red. I am pleased with how the oil pastel apple came out, even if it is a little bit wonky. I really like the shine. My next apple attempt is using soft pastels, and I have used soft pastels just a few times before, so it is still fairly new to me. And I've always really loved the quickness and the movement in pastel pieces. They almost seem quickly sketched, at least in the style that I enjoy. And I wanted to try to kind of replicate that quick movement. To complete this particular oil or this particular soft pastel, I used a tutorial by Monet Cafe, which is a wonderful, wonderful YouTube channel that provides lots and lots of soft pastel tutorials and a few oil pastel tutorials as well. And I really love the instruction and all of the examples that are provided on that channel. So if you're interested in learning more about soft pastels, I can't recommend that enough. And so I found it was fun to do a quick sketch to blend the colors together and to just kind of play and see what happened with this fast motion-filled style. I still had a little bit of a wonky apple with this one, but I was trying to be easy on myself as I'm going through this learning process, and just trying out all of these different materials in drawing this apple. I felt that what was most successful with this apple was the color gradation, and I really enjoyed how the stem appeared to actually kind of be sunken in at the top of the apple. That was something that I really struggled with in the oil, but I felt that I did better in this particular draft. I would have to say, though, it's a little bit unfair that I did the apple 4 times, because I feel that by the time I got to the end of this challenge, I could shade an apple with my eyes closed, so to say. So here is my finished soft pastel. The next medium I tried was color pencils, and I actually used a Prismacolor Premier, and I followed another tutorial, which I will link down below. And this one is a bit different because the style is less going for realism and more a kind of illustrative style. I have done 2 other projects with colored pencils. My husband is actually the one who is really great with shading and with colors and drawing, actually. So I borrowed his for this particular apple, and I tried to emulate some of the things that I have seen him do when he shades as well. And what I found was really important was to have a light, medium, and dark value, and layer those values so that the color would be a bit more smooth and seamless. I was somewhat successful with that. It's something I look forward to trying more often and to learning more about. There were times that I went in while I was finishing this apple with the blending stump, and I tried to kind of smooth some of those areas over with the blending stump, which has been recommended before for Prismacolors, and I think it was somewhat successful in that, but it definitely did have that nice illustrative, almost cartoony style. When I showed my children the finished apples after I had completed the project, this one was actually their favorite. They enjoyed this one the most. I think it was also a little bit shinier looking than the other ones. So it was a real challenge to try something that was a bit out of my comfort zone and kind of let myself make mistakes and let myself fail a little bit and learn from the entire process. And here I am again trying to get that divot at the top of the apple and have that kind of realistic stem. My stem did get a little unwieldy. My daughter asked if it had a cinnamon stick in the top, which is a fair criticism. But this was a really, really good learning experience. My final apple was done in watercolor, and I was excited to do the watercolor because I think watercolor is probably what I have the most experience in. And as a model for this particular apple, I actually used a tutorial from Let's Make Art, and as with the other tutorials, it's linked below. And I followed along with that tutorial to get some ideas on the shading and the different colors to use. I also tried to follow some of what I had learned before about light source and see what was successful in my previous apples about trying to shade one side darker and have the other side kind of reflect that light source. And I feel that this top part of the apple was most successful out of the 4 that I did in having that more natural indent or that natural divot. My apples are still, even at this 4th attempt, a little bit wonky, but I guess nature likes wonky things. So this was a really great learning process to kind of put some of those skills that I learned in the other apples in. my completed apples in oil, colored pencil, watercolor, and pastel together. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this apple challenge. Tell me, which one was your favorite apple? And if you have any great apple tutorials to share, please go ahead and drop them in the comments, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next week.